I'm Emma Wilson from Faith in Real Life, and this is the Break It Down Show.
Whoa, look at this. This is great. So we also have Emma's pop, Jeff, on the show. And I thought, well, look, you guys reached out because Emma is doing something pretty remarkable. And, you know, among the things that we do on the show that have nothing to do with anything else is we love to support kid endeavors, like kid artistic things. Obviously, we love to support charity, but today it's all about you, Emma. Tell us what the heck what are you doing now? What is this whole thing you're getting into?
Yeah, so we're doing a Christian sitcom with me and my whole family and friends. It's really fun.
Well, good. Jeff, tell us what you think about this project. And what is it called again?
Faith in Real Life.
Faith in Real Life. That's right. Okay. So, yeah, this is really exciting. Emma is very humble, as you can tell, but she's also incredibly talented. She's been a singer now for a couple of years. She leads praise and worship at our church, which is like a 12,000 member church. You know, every Sunday is like a Mercy Me concert. And she's also done a little bit of acting, and she was given this opportunity. I'll let her tell you how it all came together, but she was given this opportunity to be in a Christian sitcom. And Pete, you know, from a grown-up standpoint, the timing from my perspective was right about this time where, you know, you're hearing all this controversy about streaming services, and parents are trying to find a safe place to watch something that's family entertainment without their thumb on the pause button all the time. I can tell you, we watched the Nancy Drew. They did a reboot of Nancy Drew, and we were like, oh my gosh, we watched that when we read those books when we were kids. We got all our kids on the couch to watch it, and 2 minutes in, there's this explicit sex scene, and we had to turn it off. And so as a parent, I kind of sympathize with folks that are looking for some clean, safe, just entertainment. You know, it doesn't even have to be some preachy thing, just a place to go that's safe. And so when she had this opportunity, boy, we were really excited, especially after meeting the team and the folks at 360 TV.
Yeah, let's get into 360 in a second because I'm curious about that. But you're right. One of the things, you know, as a nation, and I'm just speaking for the U.S. here, you know, we've gotten from freedom of religion to freedom from religion. And whether or not you're a person of faith, we all believe in something, whether we worship, in some cases, science, the universe, God, this God, that God, whatever it is. We all have to take care of ourselves spiritually in some way, in some regard. And so I can appreciate the desire to not have to have a sexualized Nancy Drew type series. So,
right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, okay, what's the production company called again?
So 360 TV, it's relatively new. They've been around for a couple of years, and it grew out of a ministry from a church in Orlando. The guy that runs it, Dave Siriano, he's the CEO and the senior executive producer there. He's been doing short content, family entertainment, and he does everything, drama. He does these little short, cute things with kids. He does skits. He does a Bible study, a cooking show. But it's always been short content, you know, like Quibi does. It's that 5 to 7 minute, you know. And recently he got contracts with Amazon and some others, and he needed to grow the next level into full length content. And so his mission is to just have a safe place for families to go. And he's just in this explosive period of growth when we met him. And we had, you know, in Emma, we had something that he needed to take him to the next level, and it was an opportunity for her. But it's a really neat streaming service. It's free, which is cool. He feels really strongly about, you know, trying to keep it cost effective for families. So, you know, people go to the app, to the 360tv.com, and they download the app for free, and they can watch all the content on his service for free. I don't know if it'll always be that way, but right now, everything is free on his service, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And we had on Chad Michael Collins. He's an actor. He is the guy that does all the sniper films with Tom Berenger. Now he's like was Tom Berenger's son in the story. And he had a gig a while back on BYU TV. And similarly, and tell me if I'm getting this right from the two of you, BYU TV has, you know, some elements of Mormon faith in it. You know, like there's a moment where they bow their heads and they kind of cross their arms like Mormons often do. And that's it. like that's really it. Other than that, there was just no overt sexuality. There was no salaciousness. It was a story, that had wholesome values. Kind of like, when we grew up, you might watch an episode of Rin Tin Tin. Your parents could let you watch that and know that for the most part, there was not going to be any real violence, definitely no sexuality. Is it sort of like that, where we're just trying to create a safe space, or is it even more, I guess, Christian based than that?
Yeah, it's like a completely Christian and faith-based company. Like my dad said, it came from just a ministry in Orlando. So yeah, it's completely faith-based.
So that's how we started. And what one thing that's different about what Dave does from some of the faith-based stuff is that, if you're overtly faith-centric, then you're just selecting out, church people that are going to watch your show. And that was not what he wanted to do. And so
Okay.
Our show, for example, probably has one of the larger faith elements, in that at the end of every episode that we discuss whatever, and I'll let Emma tell you about how it's set up because it's kind of cool. But whatever the message of that episode was, it's a sitcom, and so it's funny, but we try to deal with real issues. And so whatever the wrap up is, Emma steps out of character and addresses the camera and talks about it from a very practical, real life, but biblical perspective. How do you, as a deal with this or that or the other? So there is that element, but not all of his shows are like that. Like I said, he has a cooking show, and his goal is to have clean, safe entertainment where anyone will come. You don't have to be a born again Christian or a pastor to feel comfortable there. You can just get good entertainment. So the shows, I would say, they vary on how overt the faith message is. Ours happens to be a little bit stronger because it's designed to help kids through various problems.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of problems to deal with as parents. Mm-hmm. Jeff, let me ask you about that. We just saw the confirmation hearings for our latest potential justice for the Supreme Court, and faith was brought to the fore. And how faith guided, or was it going to be constitutional law? And there's a real struggle in our country with that kind of an approach, whether you're faith based or you're completely divorced from it. And then potentially Justice Coney talked about the challenges of being a parent and having her kids deal with the George Floyd video and the outcome from that, because some of her kids are adopted and they're from Haiti and they're Black. So how do you deal with these? I mean, the parenting manual, it's got all the answers in it. There's never anything that's outside of the book. How do you deal with these things in real life, and then keep your faith practices? Sometimes faith and real life, they struggle to get along well.
Absolutely, and I think that, I think that you start with this concept that we don't really talk about that much, which is atheism, secularism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. These are all religions. Okay, so to say that Christianity is, how do you separate your faith? Well, how do you, as an atheist, separate your faith? Because that's a leap of faith to decide that that's what you believe too. And so I think that, we tend to frame the conversation in our country right now as, sometimes we talk about it as Islam, or sometimes we talk about it as Christianity or Judaism, but they're all the same. All of us in a Supreme Court justice job, you need to separate yourself from your faith, whatever it is, or your lack of faith, if that's what it is, and your personal experience. Justice is blind, and you have to rule based on the law. I thought her answer to that was phenomenal, quite frankly, that she said, look, in the end, it's about the law, and that's my job, and I'm able to separate that and always have been. For us mortals that aren't on the Supreme Court, it's a little bit harder of a struggle, right? I mean, because we live in a big world, and there's a diversity of people, and that's the beauty of our country, is our diversity. And all of this division, whether it's on political lines or religious lines or whatever it is, it's just dysfunctional. And if you look at the vast majority of religions on the planet, they are designed to bring people together, and they all teach about love and respect and, family. So why we hate each other over it is a little bit insane. So we are blessed that we have a strong faith in our family. We're all involved in ministry at our church. We go to a Christian school, but we go to a school, for example, where there's some diversity there. Not everybody there is in the same faith or the same level of faith as other people. And so you have to accept people for who and what they are. And in this show, that's what we do too. We don't talk about, do you believe in God? Do you not believe in God? It's like, fitting in, being popular. There's an episode about boys and, these two best friends and, they both like the same boy. So it's not always about finding some biblical truth that's an earth shattering, we don't talk about the abortion issue. We don't talk about these kinds of things. It's a family sitcom. And so what does an everyday family deal with on a Thursday? What does a middle school girl deal with on Tuesday when she's at the lockers? That's what we try to focus on. And then we give a faith perspective at the end. So I think it's something that resonates with most people.
And yeah, that lesson, that coupling of, it's like the very special episodes that we grew up with in our era, very special family ties, where we deal with Joe's abortion or wherever it was going to be. Right. And these are lessons. I mean, we continue to have to, it's funny as older parents, you see younger parents going through, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like we always have to relearn these lessons. I'm curious, Emma, from your point of view, what is it like to be out there so openly with your faith and on a thing on the internet? It's going to live forever. Everybody talks about, hey, watch out what you put on the internet. It's never going away. This is going to be you. Are you old enough to decide that this is something that you need to do and be open with like this?
Yeah, I think that I am. Since I was actually a few years ago, like a little bit younger, I knew that I wanted to serve God in some way. So for a while I did music, and I work in the children's ministry right now at my church, and now I'm doing this. And I think this is a really good way to share my faith with people and help more people come to Jesus and be saved.
When you hear her say that, Jeff, what do you think? It's got to make you a little bit proud.
For sure. It's so funny. I've been on your show before and other shows talking about my books and different things. And I've been asked before, I don't think on your show, but what's your biggest inspiration? And long before this TV show came out, it's been Emma, because as you're getting to know her, Pete, you can see for a 12-year-old girl, she has a.
Wait, you're 12? I thought you were 22.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we think she's 42. But she has such a quiet confidence. She's very, very humble, but she just has this quiet confidence about who she is and what she believes. She doesn't make apologies, but she doesn't push it down people's throats. She's just an amazing person, and how she walks out her life and her values. And I mean, that's what you want for your kids, whatever your values are, right? You just want them to embrace it, have some values, and be true to them. And man, she does it. And she does it 100%. She told us a few years ago that she thought she wanted to go into some form of ministry, that she maybe wanted to be in a music ministry or something, because she's an incredible singer. And gosh, she's been doing it for like 4 years, 12 years old. And already she's done more than I've done in 50 something years. So yeah, super proud, beyond proud.
Let me stoke the fire a little bit for Emma then, because just this past weekend, we had on a lady named Susie Quattro, and she is, well, I like to call her, she's element Q on the rock and roll chart. There is nothing before her that did what she did. And she's a bass player and she's a rock and roller, and she stood in front of a band as a woman in 1964 and said, "This is my life. This is my career." She's 14 at the time, right? And so here is the list of women who were musicians who stood in front of a band to lead a rock and roll career before her. You ready for the list? There's nobody on it. She's it. So, and you may not realize this, Emma, but I know a lot of the audience will. There are people that were early in rock and roll that were female. Are her friend Debbie Harry and their peers. They started about the same time. Debbie's not a musician. Tina Turner, who was married to a guy who invented rock and roll. So, and then that's it. That's it. We're out of people to talk about. So we have this incredible young, ability to recognize these things. So I think that it's a great sign that you're getting started so early. How does an 8-year-old, how does a 10-year-old, how does a 12-year-old step up to a microphone in front of, how big's your church? 12,000, you said? How many people?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's 5 campuses. So she's
Of course. But they're not being like quiet about these things. Like, almost everybody has access, I'm assuming, to some kind of closed circuit TV, some kind of recording of you standing in front of a microphone at whatever age. Do you get nerves at all? Like, did you get nervous before this show?
Well, this show I was a little nervous, but the first time
I'm a big deal.
yeah. So the first time I sang, which I was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, I was really, really nervous. So the first time I sang in front of the adult ministry I sang like Jesus Loves Me for the adult ministry, and I was so scared before we were in like the waiting room, like in front of the stage, and I was crying and I was like, Dad, I can't do this, and he was like, yes, you can, and then he prayed for me, and everything went away. And so I went on that stage and I sang for four services in the next 2 days.
Yeah. What's funny about her is that after that first time, like she said, she was nervous and we said a little prayer, and then she was fine for the rest of her life. Like, not just for that, like ever since then, she just goes up on stage. But what's funny about her, Pete, and I don't know if this is common or not, because I'm not like a musician, but she can sing in front of 1,000 people and she's just in the moment and it's just beautiful and emotional, but she won't sing in front of like her mom, or like our cousins come over and we're like, oh, sing brighter for them. Oh no. And she'll be all shy. Like, she can't sing in front of 4 people, but she can easily sing in front of 1,000 people. That's very strange, I think.
Yeah. There's some time to work on that part of it. And it doesn't sound like stage fright is the problem. Maybe a little bit of shyness. And you know what? Every 12-year-old's got some shyness in them. And I'm just guessing that if your cousins and your mom are in the crowd, you sing and it's no problem. It's right. There is difference. And I for sure have talked to musicians about this, in the intimacy of a small setting like that, singing in front of your family. Because if anybody is going to make fun of you or poke or whatever, hit a sore spot, it's the family, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I get nerves like sometimes in front of friends and extended family. Like, I'll sing in front of my like family, like my parents, and
she has to sing in front of her brother. So and maybe we can talk about this in a minute. Our whole family has become involved in this project, and it's partly because of the pandemic. So it's kind of an interesting story how that happened. But her brother, she's got an Irish twin brother, 11 months older than her, who's 13. And they're actually in 7th grade together because they were beginning and end of August on their birthdays. And he is a savant on the electric guitar. He's been playing for about 15 months, and he already plays lead guitar at praise and worship at this same church. It's incredible to watch him play. And he plays, I think the publicist sent you a little trailer with the theme song. That's Jack. That's her on the vocals, but that's Jack on the lead electric guitar. So she has no choice but to sing in front of him. Yeah. And you'll hear them up there, and that's when they're normal. Like, they'll be up there practicing for, a show they're going to do that night or for praise and worship. And you hear them bickering and arguing like normal 12 and 13-year-olds. And it's like, stop it. No, that was terrible. And they just sound like normal kids. And then they go up on stage and they do this amazing thing. So I guess it's different with family. I don't know.
We just had Matt Hoy on the show. Matt is he sings in UB40. He's a backup singer there and has his own solo career. And we were talking about him wanting to bring in elements of gospel into his music, and he's a white dude from Great Britain. And I was asking him, like, how do you sing gospel, and not be too gospel-y? Because you can have too much of it, where then it's like, well, you'd better be Baptist if you're going to do this. Because there's a point where, like, it gets to be like, now you're aping as opposed to creating. And we talked a little bit about that. And one of the things we were talking about is like different styles of churches, and especially in Catholic Church, for a long time, you couldn't even bring a non-organ based or non-bell based instrument. Now it's not so hard because, they're adapting to the times. And I brought up the example when I lived in Florida, the Catholic church down the street. I'm not Catholic, but I'll go to anybody's church. They had everything set up, and they're doing, it's Easter time, so they're doing Stations of the Cross, and it's all very somber and standard, idealistic Catholic guilt-ridden. But then next was the Brazilian service, and the same guy playing the same bass goes from doom, 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 like super somber to whoa, whoa, and like the celebration of all that stuff got totally different. How is your guys' church with the openness with music? How is the creative process? I mean, are there things that are verboten?
I don't think so. I'll let Emma give her opinion because she's part of the music program. But we're on the other extreme. So we're an evangelical Christian church, and so ours is highly contemporary. And it's funny, you're talking about some of these musicians who say they do gospel. You watch the music awards and see what is getting an award under gospel. It's not your grandma's gospel, right? I mean,
it is not.
It's like bands like Mercy Me and Lauren Daigle, and it's very contemporary. There's Christian rap. There's a lot out there. So our church is very contemporary in the music program. I will tell you that the praise and worship part of our service looks like a rock concert. They have the light show and the smoke.
Fog machine.
Yeah, I mean it's very, very, very contemporary. They'll do an older song now and again, but you like that is that the kind of music you like the most?
Yeah, so I do like that. So we definitely do more upbeat songs. So we do like two or three upbeat songs usually in the kids ministry and the middle school ministry. I don't know about the adult, but we do around 2 or 3 upbeat songs, and then for the last song we do like a calmer song, but it's still pretty upbeat.
Yeah.
Like
it's not a hymn.
Yeah, we do
Right.
like Reckless Love and Waymaker, like those kinds of songs, and it's really fun. I really like the style that we have there.
That sounds like a riot. Like for a young person to have their own laser light show, fog machine, microphone setup. That's got to be incredible for you to. Do you appreciate how remarkable that is at all, Emma? Do you have any sense of that?
Yes. So
okay.
They have fog machines. They have the colored lights, and so Jack used to actually work that. So he was on the AV team. He would work the lights and control like how loud the music was and everything. And so we have that in the campuses, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a hard job.
It is a hard job.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. I love these things too. So when I was a youngster, I went to a Presbyterian church, and we had a fantastic youth group leader. I keep trying to get him to come on the show, but he absolutely molded our lives. And he was a bit of a rapscallion, like he would encourage us to do things that parents probably wouldn't want us always to do. We were all like good kids, but we wanted to have fun, so we would have these things called shaving cream fights. You'd bring shaving cream to this local park, and we would just waylay each other with shaving cream, fairly harmless. We would go play tag at a hotel, maybe go on a trip during spring break and end up down in Mexico or something, just all this crazy, zany stuff. But we also had to run it ourselves too, like the student leadership, we had to, the things that we were allowed to plan, like if there was a mystery trip, the adults handled all that, but we had to help organize a lot of these things. And as a youth group leader, it was my job to be, part recruiter and ensure that everybody in the room was included in the fun, and because if you're someone who's up front on that stage, Emma, don't you have that responsibility in making sure that kid that's a little more shy, that you're like, well, yeah, you can do this with me. We can go work the lights, we can work on this number, whatever, right? That's part of the idea is to have fellowship and inclusion.
Yeah, so there are kids who are more shy, and there are kids who are really into it. I love both. They're all so great, but there are also kids on the like team who are shy, and they're kind of harder to get to kind of make more beat and dance more and stuff, but they're really fun. Everyone's so sweet, and
It's really just
They all
about
have a
getting
heart for God.
enthusiasm. It's about getting the excitement.
Yeah.
One of the things that brought us to this particular church is the youth ministry there. It's the biggest production of youth ministry I've ever seen. They have youth group like you and I. I grew up in the Methodist church and went to a youth group probably just a lot like what you just described. But that was compared to this. I mean, they have
It
their
sounds
own,
awesome.
They have their own YouTube channel. They produce videos. They actually made a feature-length film called The Architect. And that's sort of how Emma sort of got into the acting part of it or the media acting. She had done some theater, but she was in a couple of those productions. But it's amazing. They have this huge stage. The kids are all involved and engaged. They really make it fun and exciting. There's no like just standing there and reading you the Bible and telling you what it all means. I mean, they have games and game shows and contests. It's crazy. Yeah, it's really cool.
Actually, sometimes they do photo contests, so they give you like a theme or a story, and then you act it out or send a picture with your family, and those are really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast. It all sounds too good to be true, Jeff. My jaded 50-year-old self's like, come on. But I mean, I know better from having lived in a youth group that helped raise me, and create opportunities that were, good. But come on. How can all this goodness be in one place? What drives that engine? That's a lot of work. I mean, kids, they're doing a lot of work, but the parents got to support it. I mean, you're wrapped up into this thing. I can see your picture. I'm going to pull the picture up and put it on the screen, but you're wrapped up into this thing too.
Oh, So, and it didn't start out that way. And that's what's sort of the fun story was, Emma, like we said, Grace Family Church is sort of where all of Emma's talent was born and then fostered. And she came to us, was it like November, December? And she had done some of these video productions and she's done some musicals. She did the musicals because she just wanted to sing. And then she went, wow, acting's kind of fun. So she came to me and she said, I want to do some more acting. Like, what if I could do like movies or TV shows? But I really want to do stuff that's faith-based because I want to pursue that, the ministry stuff through acting and singing. Is there a way to do that? And I had no idea, Pete. I was like, I have no idea how that works. Like I know what happened to Miley Cyrus. So I did some research, and there actually is a place called Faith-Based Casting that's part of Casting America that just matches up like the Kendrick Brothers type people and PureFlix and those. So there it is. Those sorts of things. And so anyway, long story short, she auditioned. She joined this organization. She set up her page. She got invited to audition for a few things, and then the pandemic hit, and everything got put on hold, and she was all disappointed. And then I get this phone call from Dave Siriano, and he said, hey, I want to talk to you about Emma. And I was like, oh my gosh, she got a part. And the first thing he said was, she didn't get the part. But we were looking for someone older, but I saw her film reel, which was all stuff that she had done at Grace. And he said, she's just got such a presence. And he said, I'm in this explosive period of growth. I've got these contracts. I need to develop content. What if we brainstorm together a sitcom, which is what I want to do, for her, and we'll make it around her. So we actually got the opportunity to work with the producer to brainstorm this whole idea. That the episode 1 in the credits, it says story by Emma Wilson, because it was sort of her idea. So once we sort of got going, then he was like, I know you're a writer. Can you write the pilot? I was like, dude, I've never even seen a screenplay. I don't know what that even looks like. And he said, I'll send you, if you can't do it, it's fine, but why don't we give it a try? He said, otherwise we're going to have to delay this for a while because I'm all tied up in other projects. So for Emma, I said, okay, I'll try it. And I did. And it was fun. You've read my books. You know how I write. It's sort of cinematic anyway. But so we wrote the pilot, and now we're in the height of the quarantine. So he can't cast. We've got this whole show. She's the only one cast. We can't rehearse. We're having these Zoom conferences to do readings. So we're going to do a reading on the pilot. And I said, well, I'll just get everyone in the family. We'll sit on the couch and they'll read the other lines so you can see how to do it. So
I see what's coming.
Yeah. So we did this, and he's like, they're amazing. What if we? And so it all ends up, my wife plays her TV mom, My wife has never done any acting. She was convinced the whole time that she was going to be the one that destroyed Emma's dream. And she said, there's no way I can do it. I'm going to be terrible. And you're going to open season 2 at my funeral because they're going to kill me off. And she's amazing. She's just so good. And her brother is in it, and our youngest is in it. I have a small part in it, in addition to writing the screenplays.
Yeah, both my brothers are.
Yep, both your brothers are in it. And so it's really, really cool to have the whole family involved like that.
Yeah.
You'll have to edit this out. Hey, stop.
Is that the dog?
That's my 5-year-old. We're on a call. We can't come now. But anyway, so it just was one of those things that it just worked out that way. And now they're just all amazing. Her best friend, Olivia Courtner, is in the show, a talented actress here in town that now plays her best friend on the TV show. And he travels to us, and we film in Tampa, because with all the COVID stuff, he's like, look, I don't want to put your family at risk. And Dave is just an amazing, heartfelt guy. He's a family guy. And he needed to get this, he needed to get a few episodes in the can so he could start editing. And he's like, what if I just come, it'll just be me and one gaffer, and it'll take longer because we have to do so many takes instead of having 3 cameras. But, can we start filming if we do it there? And I've been tested. And so he was really sensitive to, look, I'm going to be bringing people into your family, and there's a, pandemic going on right now. But had all that not been going on, she'd be doing the show with total strangers. And my wife, the chemistry they have, because they're really related, is incredible. It just really shows up in the episodes and in the scene. So yeah, it was just one of those weird things. And now it's a whole family enterprise. Did not see it coming, Pete. Did not see it coming.
Yeah, it's incredible. And again, I love the opportunity for any young person to be able to create on a stage that's bigger than they can imagine, because they don't know the limits. Like your wife, where it's like, they're going to kill me off. I'm going to be terrible. But I especially love the ability for adults to get back into that creative space. You have it. I have it already because of what we do. But for your wife and for other people, it's just incredible to allow people to, and look, I'm not saying anything about the quality of the show. But we're not trying to all win Emmys. We're not trying to sell a bunch of soap. We're trying to create something, and there's a different goal here. And I think it's a wholesome and a noble goal to create something like this. How has your wife taken to the transition? Is she convinced yet, or is she take some nudging to get on?
She wasn't convinced until it seemed to her forever before she actually got to see some content edited. And up until that point, she was a wreck. She was like, I hate it. I just wish I'd never done it. And then once she saw it, she's like, I'm not that bad. And she's actually amazing.
Really, she's really good.
Yeah, she brings the emotion and all that to it. But yeah, she's now in the acceptance phase of this thing that she got roped into, because we're getting ready to film the spring season now. We've got half of season 1 done. All the fall is done. But we're going to be back to filming here in another 6 or 8 weeks. So
how many episodes in a season?
12.
12 episodes. Okay. And then Emma, as a pro, someone that's going to do some kind of, faith-focused worship, but also creativity, you've got to look at yourself in a whole different light. Have you reached the point where you can look at yourself and say, that's me on stage, but here's where I need to improve? Can you do that yet? Or are you still kind of like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm doing this?
Well, okay. So in some scenes, I'm like, wow, I did really good. And then we rewatched like clips and trailers and episodes like a lot. So, and then once we kept watching it, I was like, oh, like maybe I should try to do this better, and do this better, and I feel like as I kept watching them and I started to catch more details and I started to see where I needed to improve more.
Is it weird still to watch yourself?
Yeah.
I don't need to take over the interview, but
no, You're doing great. That's what I want to know.
Is it weird when you see it on like when it's on the television? Is like, I can't believe that's me.
Well, I
feel that way. I'm like, what am I doing up there?
I've seen myself on Zone TV.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But this is more, and I know that, and it's just crazy. I feel like like, this is an insane thing. Like, me and my dad were writing, and I was like, I'm in a TV show. Like,
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. And obviously you're going to get better at it too, just to continue to work. Are you taking lessons at all? Are you getting some professional guidance on how to act?
well, in school, they have like a drama class, which I took for the first quarter of school. But other than that, I don't really have any professional lessons.
Well, other than the director now. So Dave is really good with her, and he's such a fatherly figure. I worried about that because I've been on some sets before, and there's a lot of pressure to get things done, and you're paying people, and you want to move along, and I worried whether that was going to crush her spirit to have somebody that was like, no, that was terrible, do it again. He's nothing like that. He's so fatherly and gentle. And he's like, why don't we try this? He needs to be more gentle with Wendy, with my wife, than he does with her. But so I think she's learning a lot just from that, and then the watching it herself and self-improvement, I think is helpful too. And she's worked with other directors. She worked with a guy, Jonathan Starrett here, who is involved at Grace and does all their media production. He's the same way. He's very patient. He's very, gentle in how he corrects you and teaches you. So she's very lucky that she's had the experiences that way instead of that crack in the whip, right? We've all been there.
I was actually nervous about that when we signed for Faith Based. I'm like, I've only done like school plays and like stuff for my church. Like, how hard are they going to be on me? But yeah, Dave is so nice. He's just amazing.
He is.
Emma, I want to talk to your dad for a second because I got to talk to the author guy. Hey, didn't we just have a show when you and Brian were saying, we signed these contracts, we have so much stuff to do, I don't know how we'll fit anything else in, there's no time for anything else. And then the moment we finish, I get the email from Poppy saying, hey, by the way, just working on something else. How in the hell are you writing screenplay or teleplay?
I don't know, man. It's like, there's so much now that it's like just day at a time. Like, when we did like we talked about on the last one, we signed that fourth deal with Tom over at Putnam to do the Webb Griffin stuff. And it was like, I mean, that's it. Like, that's saturation now. Like, that's a full time. We got to create a book every like 90 days, like no more. And then when this happened, I really thought I was going to just write the pilot. And so I did it over the weekend, and Emma was actually, you're a good writer. Like, she was really helpful, and we sat down and did it together. And then unfortunately for me, he really liked it. And so it became my job to write the rest of them. But I think that, writing a 20-minute episode, you're looking at 25 pages, maybe something like that of content. It isn't like writing, 10 chapters in a book. It goes pretty quick, and we brainstorm it together. Emma does, her friend Olivia helps, my kids help, Wendy has ideas. So it goes pretty quick, but it is taking me into the weekends now, which I had hoped to. What are you going to do?
I know what you're going to do. I already know what you're going to do. You're going to start a writer's room at church, and you'd be like, all you young kids that want to write something, let's get to work. And then you're going to run a writer's room.
So how many times have I asked you to write? Yeah, it's like, if you will just write these 5 scenes, I'll fix them. It'll be so much quicker if you will just. And so they are helping me like that. And as it grows, now that it's getting a little traction, and she's, getting a little bit of attention, and people want to be part of it, I am going to get some more help, I think. But also, he's promised me that I will continue to be the head writer, but that there will be other writers. Like, that's supposed to happen. We'll see what happens. So.
All right. And then I also want to talk to the author. How incredible is it to you? I mean, look, you're writing all these books, a book every 90 days, which I didn't realize that was the pace. That's also remarkable. But Amazon, these big brands are coming for faith-based content. And he's got, what he said, explosive growth. Does that shock you at all in terms of being someone who produces content for money?
You mean the faith aspect of it? That there's
I mean, like, there's that big of a market that big of brands. I mean, I know there are a lot of Christians that are out there and are probably underserved because their church doesn't have the budget, whatever. So yeah, Amazon, I understand the marketplace, but still it's a little hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, and I think, it's hard for me to wrap my head around too, because we don't, we're certainly a faith-driven family, but we don't sit home all day and watch 24 flicks and nothing else. Like we watch and so it is a lot of content, isn't it? You've got Pure Flicks now, you've got 24 flicks, you've got 360, some other smaller ones that are growing. But
BYU TV, same thing, yeah. All these places, yeah.
Yeah, family. What's the family one? Family Network or something like that. That's doing clean family content. But I think that it's a trend that didn't. I think it's sort of grown into the TV and short content stuff more recently. But you've been seeing that incredible growth in faith-based feature-length content over the last, what's it been, like 5 or 10 years, right? Like the Kendrick brothers started doing things, and then it became more mainstream, and then the bigger Hollywood producers started doing stuff. So you've been seeing this trend. And I think it's people saying, look, we want choice. Like we want stuff that is consistent with our faith. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go see the next Bourne film, but I'd really like to see something, like, what was the one where they fell through the ice and Breakthrough and Miracle. And there've been some really well done films. And so I think it's just that I don't think people are saying, I only want Christian content. They're saying, I want choice and I want variety. I can watch more than one movie a year. And so I'd like to see it. And I think you're seeing that grow into the TV section too. And in the old days, it would have meant ABC, NBC, and CBS had to say, we'll do one show a week or whatever. But now nobody does it that way. There's so many streaming services. And how many apps do you have on your TV, right? Like, you've got Hulu, you've got Netflix, you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Disney Plus, iTunes. Adding 360 TV so that in the night you're in a mood for the Christian comedy, it's not that big a deal. And so I think just the technology supports that demand more. So I don't think it's not so dramatic that people are demanding faith content. It's that they want variety, and this is something that they're looking for, and it's easy now to provide it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, be able to put something on. It's like you can watch anything on these channels. This is your app. And then, look, as a kid, you're just like, yeah, I'm just glad to watch something. Thanks for letting me. Because I remember watching the old Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew stuff. I think it probably was on ABC, and it was pretty wholesome. Or Swiss Family Robinson, these more wholesome type things. There's not enough access to that on big TV, so. Thankfully, there are networks that do this now. Right,
and so now you have choice. You remember Saturday morning cartoons? Like,
yeah,
my kids still can't get over the idea that the only time I could watch cartoons was from 8 to noon on a Saturday. They're like, well, why didn't you just go to Cartoon Network and just watch it whenever you want? It's like, well, it didn't work that way back then.
Yeah, and then Emma, how the heck do you have time to do all this stuff? You're helping your dad write a show. Obviously, you're going to school. You're putting on rock concerts at church. And acting, it sounds like you have too many jobs for a 12-year-old kid. Do you ever get to have fun?
Yeah, of course I do. It is a lot. I have a lot on my plate, and I'm actually going to start sports soon. But yeah, but I've only gotten to school late once, and I still have time to practice during the week. And we don't film like every single day, and it's not like we need to film so we can finish this. We film when we can.
Right.
Dave is really he can adjust to our schedules, and that's really nice to have a producer like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to do like a 2-week block of 12-hour days. He's very sensitive to that. So I think the longest stretch we did like
14 hours.
Yeah, we did 3 days in a row once, and the middle day was 14 hours, and the
others were
like 10 or 12. Yeah. But mostly once we got that momentum, we do it here and there. But she's very well rounded. We just got her first quarter grades, straight A's somehow, while doing everything else. She's a straight A student, and I don't know. She's amazing. She's an inspiration.
Clearly. Let me. I don't want to ask you another question because this is something that I want to understand about this because I'm fascinated, and it's a harder question for me to ask because I'm not sure exactly how to ask it. So in the horror film industry, right, Jeff? You don't have to make 5-star films. You're not even trying to. Matter of fact, you're trying to make 2-star films because they already make money, and it's like the wrong thing. Is the same kind of principle available for this? I mean, like the goal here is faith focused, wholesome TV, and once you hit that mark, do you have to go to the 5-star mark? And again, this is no knock on anybody. It's not I'm saying I'm struggling to ask this right, but Emma is untrained, right? She's busy. She's going to get better at her own pace, which doesn't sound like, Emmy grade TV. Is there just such a power in the goal of the faith part that it overrides the demand for some kind of SAG quality performance?
I think yes and no. I think that the real answer is that both exist out there. They're both
right.
True. When we were kids, so I look at how she performs music now, and when you and I were kids, I was in a little youth group band, and the requirement was you had to mean it. That was it.
Yeah.
If you sounded like you meant it, that was a success. But now I look at what they do, and it is, definitely music award level stuff every single week after week after week. Incredible the level of quality. Now, at a place like 360 TV, obviously he doesn't have the money and the equipment to produce something that you're going to see on Amazon Prime. But he will, I suspect. And I think that as long as you have good quality acting and good writing, people will accept, little less in the production and some of the fluff. But they also want to know that there's a place where they can get that too. Like you'll notice that we were talking earlier about the faith-based films and sort of exploding. If you look at the faith-based films 10 years ago, like when the first Kendrick brother movie came out, Fireproof, it was good, but it was mostly good because they meant it, right? Sort of like what we were saying. Like wasn't the best actors. They clearly had a low budget. The cinematography was good, but it wasn't phenomenal. But that movie today probably would not get into the theater. Now you have, Jennifer Garner is in the faith-based films, and they've got these big name actors, and they've got a large budget, and, so I think that you're going to see the same thing in TV. Faith-based television is just starting. It's really just beginning. There's been faith-based movies, and now people are saying, hey, why can't we have that in a TV show? So I think that if you look 5 years from now, you're going to see that the level of the quality of the production side is going to do the same thing film did, and it's going to grow. And Emma's lucky because she's in the ground floor, so she'll grow with it. So by the time that demand is there, she'll have the experience, and she'll have, she'll sort of have the chops to do it, I think. But I think that people, they expect it to be good, but they want to see good acting. They want to see good writing. They'll accept, a little less from their production side for now. But it'll be very interesting to see if that's true in a few years.
Yeah. And again, that's no knock at the talent. I mean, you've got to start where you start at. And obviously Emma's going to get a lot better. Not that she's not great already, just to have the courage to stand there. That's already an A, like to stand there and right. Take this on. The other thing I was thinking about was, Kirk Cameron is a good example of someone who took the faith. Actually, let me back up and let me start here instead. I used to work at a channel, a Christian family Christian broadcasting channel. It was in the Bay Area, and they grabbed all the satellite feeds. And my job was to, whatever we were grabbing externally, get that on tape, push it out, run the commercials, master control was my job. And they also recorded a lot of stuff in theater, in studio. And so you'd go over to the studio side and go do work over there or whatever. And you didn't have to have faith to work at this place. It was a TV studio. But it was like 40% of what a real studio. It was a real studio, but like this is not like they don't have a massive budget. So there was a lot of things where like the dramatic moment of the show would come and the actor would, move forward under a key light and then sing that song or make that speech. And it was like, because that was their moment. That was their thing they could do because they didn't have all the whiz bang other stuff. And I think you're right. As the budgets increase and you're able to just simply buy another light, and bring other aspects in. And I'm making light of what it takes to do production, but I think you will see improvement. And in terms of big name stars, in our lifetime, we saw Kirk Cameron go from a top 10, if not number one, primetime family syndicated show to saying, I'm going to focus. I've got my wife. I'm going to start this family, and I'm going to focus my art in this Christian way. And from what I understand, and by the way, I have in my car right now a guitar case that's got a flight sticker on it that says Kirk Cameron on it. And no fooling, I have it. So, but he basically, I don't want to say he threw his career away, but he directed his career early on in terms of his career and also in terms of like this kind of established performance medium. And he's like, I'm gonna do this. This is more important for me. And he's done it for the last, gosh, what is it, 30 plus years now?
Yeah. And now you see a lot of other people doing the same thing. Kevin Sorbo, right? He's doing a lot of faith-based, almost exclusively faith-based stuff. Who's the other one? I had another one Dean Cain is now doing a lot of faith-based stuff. So I do think that you're seeing more and more of that. The other interesting thing about the production side is the technology changes. If you think about what a 360 TV spends on their production, 20 years ago, they would have been using a right. And now you can buy a really high quality, high def camera that you can hold in one hand that has great sound quality. It's not NBC, but it's NBC 30, 40 years ago, right? And you're holding it in your hand. And so I think the technology is helping the smaller production companies too, for sure.
It is a lot more accessible. You really can have your main pastor stand in front of everybody and say, if everybody kick in $2 extra today, and you can buy 2 incredible 4K broadcast production cameras,
Yeah, that's right.
Just like that. And with just one round of donations, from a crowd that wants you to have, and then you can unlock this whole bit of production. Yeah, let's do it. And get my kids working. I mean, think about the hands-on experience behind the camera, in front of the camera that you're getting right now, Emma. People pay a lot of money to have opportunities like this, to go to school, to go to the USC Film School, all these places where, it's a lot of money to get this experience. You're going to walk in the door. Do you think you'll continue to do this for real? I mean, it sounds like you want to, but you tell me.
Yeah, I do. I want to be an actress. I would love to do more plays because I did a few play productions and I really liked it. But TV and movies I would definitely do as well. It's just really fun. It's definitely my passion. I just have so much fun doing it. And I think I could definitely do it as a career.
And you're in the 7th grade, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Jeff!
I had no idea what I was going to do when I was in the 7th grade. I didn't know what I was going to do 5 years ago, Pete.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do 5 years from now. So, I'm not even sure what I'm doing now. It's all up in the air. Yeah, no, good. I mean, good for you. This is exciting. I want to recap really quick the notes on all this stuff, but it's 360 TV. You guys can see the link there. And if you guys are listening on the podcast side, it'll be in the show notes. But basically spell the word 3 out and then put 60tv.com. And you'll be able to go see this. There are so many, when you look at the state of faith in the U.S., you often feel like, it's dying out. But I see new churches opening. It's been reconstituted into something that's just more modern, and less boring. We used to call it the old people church, right? And then the youth-based side was really fun. We sang songs, we did all kinds of things. And I think we're seeing us as we got older saying, I'm not going to do that kind of church. I don't want to sit there and, it has to be different. And I think that's what we're seeing is an outpouring of what different is now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there is a real resurgence of, faith-based stuff and church attendance and all of that. And I think part of it is because of what you're saying. The new generation was like, well, we can modernize this. Like I don't have to sit on a wooden pew and be bored, and listen to someone talking Latin. We could actually have like a real band and make it exciting and fun, because your faith should be fun. It's not supposed to be a chore, right? So I think you're seeing a real resurgence right now, almost like what we had in the late 70s and 80s when the Jesus movement, remember the born again movement back then. and it just spread like wildfire. And I think we might be on the very beginning side of something very similar to that, but with more technology and more reach. And, our church is on Instagram. Our church is, they're on Twitter, and they're sending out posts and messages and funny things for the kids and little videos. And it's more attractive now. If you said, hey, let's go sit for an hour on a wooden pew and let someone read an old book to us. I don't even want to do that. Right. And so I think you're exactly right. I think it's the new generation is saying, look, it doesn't have to be like that. Let's make it the way it's supposed to be. So.
Yeah, the show is called Faith in Real Life. If you guys were trying to figure it out, it's called Faith in Real Life. One of the other things that used to bug me about TV, and still does, I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, partly because it is too much of a formula. But the whole notion that kids are smarter than parents all the time, and I remember like seeing these shows, you're like, come on, Blossom, how come you're smarter than your parents? All like, so do you have to play the dumb dad, or what is your role?
I tried hard not to do that because it makes me so mad that every dad, even on Peppa Pig, the dad is like a complete moron. It's like, it's like, I hope I don't fall in the lake. That's right. So we do have the dad character is a little bit goofy because we needed a foil for her character, right? So his character is not smart, and there are some scenes where he gives some really sage advice. There's an episode we wrote that's more about her twin brother Jake, and he's being bullied, and we have to walk through that. And so we do show some moments of him being a good dad, but the way he's her foil is he's the over enthusiastic dad. Like she says, I want to be an actor, and she's like, I'm going to help you achieve your dream. So he's casting her and making phone calls and getting her in all these crazy commercials. She has to play a bug, and she has to play a mustard container. You know what I mean? So
he's goofy, but he's not like dumb.
Well,
I would argue.
Are you lifting episodes from Brady Bunch yet, or Gilligan's Island?
Not yet. I think we can get to 10 episodes before I have to start pirating. We'll see.
All right. Well, and no matter what you're pirating, anyhow, because it all really has been.
Yeah,
that's whatever.
Right. It's all real. It's all real.
Emma, what's the biggest thing you've taken away from this experience thus far?
Well, I definitely learned that even though I'm a kid, I can still impact people and help people with their faith, even though I'm 12. But like I used to think like, oh, like I'm really young, like I can't do that. But I learned from this experience that even if you're young, you can still help people and bring them closer to God. And I feel like that's just an amazing thing that I'm really glad I learned and took away from that.
That's a wonderful answer. Hey, Jeff, what do you owe your family as you guys all try this crap out?
What do I owe them?
Yeah. I mean, your family's going through a lot of stuff.
I mean, they don't know me.
Pandemic.
They owe me. No, I will say that, no one in the family approached this as something that they were doing for them. Everybody initially saw it as something they wanted to do for Emma. Our family is really, really close. Her and her brother especially are very, very close. And so I think that everybody, my wife especially, is like, we're going to do this because Emma has this opportunity. We want to help her achieve her dream. But now I think everybody loves it. Like Jack is doing great and excited. He came to us and said, oh, I would do other shows and I want to audition for other things. So, but I will say what I owe my family has less to do with this show and more to do with everything else in my life. Like my family has supported my dreams. I wanted to transition to writing. That's not an easy thing for a family to support and get behind. It's like, oh, we'll sell some books. It'll be okay, right? And every one of them, my wife, my kids, they've all just supported me. So now we're supporting her. That's just what we do in our family. So
I love it. Well, look, that's a plan I can get behind. Support and love, working hard. I don't know that there's a better combination of three things: love, support, and working hard. That you can whoop just about any problem with that. There'll always be challenges, but it's a good foundation to build a life on. Anything else you guys want to cover before we wrap this thing up?
Oh my gosh, we appreciate you giving us so much time. This is just so fun to talk about it. You know, you already said 360tv.com. That's where you go. Download the free app. Get the app. That's right.
Get the app, 360tv.com. Again, the letters, THREE 60tv.com. And get the app and check it out. And heck, the best thing is tell a friend and let the people who are making this thing, let them know what you think of it. That's huge to speak out from the void. It's so hard to convince people to do it, but let them know. It's really helpful.
And they're
trying to build it for you.
The only other thing is, now that she has this TV show, we have allowed her to be on social media with quite a bit of parental oversight. And so she would love for people to follow her. She's on Instagram. She's also on Twitter at Faith in Real Life with real life spelled REEL. So at Faith in Real Life, we'll get to her feed on both of those. And she's gotten so much support. You know, social media, as you and I well know, can be an absolute horror show, but she has just gotten the biggest outpouring of support and love from people in the faith community and people encouraging her. So you can follow her, and you'll see all kinds of little clips and fun videos and stuff there too.
I love it. All right, stand by. We're going to sign off.